Welcome back, Metal Magicians. Kriya Shakti, that's Sanskrit. Kriya meaning action, and Shakti meaning power. Like the lightning conductor which leads the electric fluid, the faculty of Kriya Shakti conducts the creative quintessence, which means ideal, and gives it direction. Led haphazardly, it can kill. Directed by the human intellect, it can create according to a predetermined plan. That is from Blavatsky in the Collected Writings. Join us on Sunday nights for our Unfolding Consciousness studies on the divine forces in the human being, the awakening of the latent faculties and powers of consciousness, where we take a look at Perennial Philosophy's explanation and investigation of the unexplained laws of nature and the powers latent in mankind. Remember to do no harm. Do not use this ability to take something that belongs to someone else. All right? You can have anything you want, most anything you want, as long as you follow those two rules. All right? So we left off with what desire really means. So let's get into it. We're in the underlying force, the relation of will to desire. Will to desire. Now, Atkinson says here, he has shown us that the desire force is the great mental force underlying the phenomena of mental magic. But desire force without the aid of the will is like steam, unconfined and directed. And gunpowder fired into the open air, both are wasted energy. The will is the lever and the director of the great power of desire, and without its aid, the latter is almost inoperative and ineffectual. So let us examine the operation of the will. The will has two offices in connection with desire. These two offices may be spoken of as 1, the directing office, and 2, the projecting office. The will acts as the arouser, the director, the restrainer, the concentrator, and the manager of the great occult force of desire. What is generally known as willpower is often merely, in reality, desire power strongly concentrated and directed by a focus of the power of the will. Remember this, please, for it will enable you to form a better idea of the subject of willpower. Often when you hear willpower spoken of, whatever it is attributed to really is attributed to the desire that has been controlled and directed and focused by will. So let's say that one more time, okay? So whenever you hear somebody talk about willpower, whatever it is attributed to is really said and attributed to the desire that has been controlled, directed, and focused by the will. The effort of the will is operated in the direction of this directing, this focusing, concentrating, etc. And in the degree that the will is trained to do this, so the degree of the willpower of the individual. Not only is the will able to do this, but it is also able to direct the desire force into the mind of other persons, awakening similar vibrations there. And then by its own power, the will is able to direct the desire force of the other persons into action, taking away that office from the will of the other persons, if their will is not strong enough in its protective office to resist the attack. Now remember here, before you freak out, this is being used. This force and this ability is being used right now for nefarious reasons and means. And it's awful. So I'm trusting that you're going to use it for good. All right? Use it for good and to help humanity and protect yourself. It is up to you to use it for ethical reasons, for self-protection, and to assist humanity. The mentative twins, we continue. The idea of willpower is more familiar to us than the term desire force. It's true. We hear willpower more. Most everybody recognizes the wonderful power of the will. And we know of many instances of great accomplishments when it is being used. And yet, how few of us have stopped to consider that unless there was a preceding desire, there could be no manifestation of will. So, unless a person desires, that is, wants to do something, Desires doesn't have to be a big thing. If you want to do something, that's a desire. Want to lift my arm, that's a desire. He will manifest no willpower, but on the other hand, he may desire to do a thing, and unless the will is aroused and applied, no action will occur. Desire arouses willpower, and will may stimulate desire. The two act and react upon each other. The two should work in unison. And the trained mastermind has both under control and pulling well together like a well-trained team. So how many of us can say that our minds, our thoughts, our desires, and our will is completely under our control? Or is it scattered and busy and all over the place? This is me talking here, I understand. And this is the reason that I am doing these lessons with you. All right, to get that under control, a peaceful mind, a focused mind for good, for love. Atkinson says that willpower is more than mere determination to act, although that mental attitude and action is manifested in willpower. It is a living force. Desire is the sister and will the twin brother. So let's say that again. The mentative twins are desire, the sister, and the twin brother is will. Will and desire, they're twins. And both together manifest that which we know as mentative influence. Again, willpower is a living force. Desire is the sister, and will is the twin brother. Willpower is more than a mere mental faculty. It is a mighty, mighty attribute, the influence of which may extend far beyond the mind of the person manifesting it. The greatest feat of the occult magicians, again, now I have to say this, I shouldn't have to say this, but if you're here this far into this video, you should know that the word occult is not synonymous with ominous. All right? It can mean the dark arts, but it simply means currently out of view or unrevealed, so don't freak out. So the greatest feats of the occult magicians depend upon telementation or telepathy operated by trained willpower. And the so-called great men of history, ancient and modern, had their source of strength in this willpower, which they trained and developed to an extraordinary degree. They did. And we can learn from them. The mastery of will, all right? This exercise of will shows itself in two ways, all right? The mastery of one's own mind, and two, the mastery of the minds of others. Now, I know, just stay with me. The second is almost impossible unless the first is accomplished. Again, the mastery of the minds of others is almost impossible unless we master our own minds first. For me, this is a lifelong effort. However, I have noticed that it's getting easier. It's getting a little easier and getting better. And I do know also, I can't stress this enough, this is a force that is to be used for good. All right? It's for good and to better humanity. That's why you're here. One must train your mind so you can hold it firmly in the grasp of the will and prevent it from jumping this way and that way instead of moving on ahead to the purpose intended. All right? When one has so trained his mind to be obedient to his will that it can be held steady and one-pointed, as the Hindus say, then he is in a position to direct in his mentative currents. He can direct those currents upon others to the best advantage. But so long as his mind is in a state of disorganization, one faculty pulling this way, one faculty pulling that way, and so on, he cannot hope to concentrate upon others the force that is being wasted in keeping order at home in your own mind. When the mind is mastered by the will, then may new territory be conquered. The term willpower is commonly used in connection with a manifestation of firmness or determination. The determined will is known as a mighty factor towards attainment and accomplishment. And I think it well to consider this fact at this point, for behind all outward manifestations of mentative influence, all right, behind them all lies this determined will of the individual. All right? The more determined and more firm be the will of the individual, the stronger the mentative influence emitted and emanated by him. This statement should not require proof, for its truth is apparent to all who have made a study of mankind and their abilities. If you're looking around, you can see this taking place. It has been recognized by writers in all times. And here, Atkinson has provided some quotations that will tend to fix the matter firmly in your mind. They are dated, remember. This was written over 120 years ago. And this will create in you, hopefully, a desire to manifest the determined will, the lever that directs and concentrates mentative influence. The testimony of wise men. Sir Fowell Buxton said, "The longer I live, the more certain I am that the great difference between men, between the feeble and the powerful, the great and the insignificant, is energy, invincible determination, a purpose once fixed, and that it's victory or death. That quality will do anything that can be done in this world, and no talents, no circumstances, no opportunities will make a two-legged creature a man without it." Donald G. Mitchell said, "The resolve is what makes man manifest, not puny resolve, not crude determinations, not errant purpose, but that strong and tireless will which treads down difficulties and danger as a boy treads down the heaving frost lands of winter, which kindles his eye and brain with a proud pulse beat towards the unattainable. Will makes men giants." Disraeli said, "I have brought myself by long meditation to the conviction that a human being with a settled purpose must accomplish it, and that nothing can resist a will which will stake even existence upon its fulfillment." Sir John Simpson said, "A passionate desire and an unwearied will can perform impossibilities, or what may seem to be such to the cold and feeble." John Foster said, "It is wonderful how even the casualties of life seem to bow to a spirit that will not bow to them, and yield to subserve a design which they may, in their first apparent tendency, threaten to frustrate, when a firm, decisive spirit is recognized. It is curious to see how the space clears around a man and leaves him room and freedom." But these matters will be touched upon in other parts of this book as Atkinson comforts us, and he says we must quickly move on to consider the manifestations of willpower as the director of mentative currents affecting persons and things outside of the individual manifesting it. So next week, will, the projector of the mentative force. Thank you, William Walker Atkinson. Thank you. I am sharing these teachings with you because I am trusting that you will use these for the best interest of humanity. This is a very quiet series here. There's not a lot of people here. And I believe if you're watching all the way through, then you understand that what we talk about when we go into unfolding consciousness, exploring the living universe and the intelligent powers in nature and humans, these are the intelligent powers. These are part of them, all right? And we are to use these to assist humanity. Remember that the brain can transform energy into physical substances and states. Each week, we read through this book. It's written down by William Walker Atkinson, and in case you missed the earlier videos, there is a playlist here. You can check that out here on the channel. On Sunday nights, we're doing a series with Unfolding Consciousness about these latent faculties, and that is something not to be missed. Remember, if you are here, thank goodness you are here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I trust that you are one of the ones who will take these abilities and use them to use them for our planet, for all people, for all good. You can protect yourself from the harm that's being done using this ability right now, and you can have the life that you wish as long, remember, as you are doing no harm, or you are trying to hurt another being by taking what they've got. You will heap hot coals upon your head of karma if you do that. You can learn from me, or you can learn through your own trial and error. I'd like to remind you that these abilities are to be used to help humanity. They're being used right now for dark things. I trust that you will use them for good. I love you, and I'll see you next week.